The next item is item number 23, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 14-9971, block 849, lot 10, 909 Broadway in the Ladies Mile Historic District. A dwelling built in 1843 and altered in the late 19th century commercial style in 1899 and again in 1951. The application is to replace windows, paint facade features, install awnings and signage, alter the rear facade, and remove steel fire shutters.
Landmark staff. 909 Broadway is located on the west side of the street between 20th and 21st Street. The proposal for alterations to the street facade is comprised of replacing the existing second-story storefront window with a new wood window with similar details, but with modifications, which are removing the existing transom with a single fixed pane and making the two casements fixed windows. The proposal is also to paint the roof cornice and facade features blue and install new awnings at the 3rd floor and a stretch banner sign at the 2nd floor. The proposal is also to, at the non-visible rear facade, non-visible rear facade, replacing the existing altered metal fire shutters with the existing relocated second floor metal shutters, and enlarging the existing skylight, which spans only one bay across the entire width. And the architect is here to present the application.
Just one other thing, Commissioners. The storefront itself was one of the first, after the rules were established, to be approved at staff level. So that you're not looking at that. It already has a permit. It's not constructed yet, is it? The storefront's not yet constructed, but they have a permit for the storefront, for the first floor.
All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Kushineski from CMS Architecture and Design. We're the architects for the project. This is our client, Charles Cousin from Medora, which is a French company and selling, what would you describe the project?
Ready-made steel curtains.
You're doing steel curtains and other beautiful household things. When Medora came to us to discuss the project and lay out the store and go through the design, one of the big concerns of theirs was, and ours was, to provide an inviting storefront and to provide a way of acknowledging the two-story retail use of this building. As you know, in the Ladies Mile, there's a number of these two-story retail type of situations, and in this case, we enhanced that by providing an open two-story space at the front of the store, and through our desire to run the skylight across at the back, similarly having a well of light at the end of the store, also enticing shoppers up to that second floor retail area. So that's been something that's really been driving the design of the project as it's going, including what we're proposing for the storefront. And what we're proposing for the store, oh, just to give you a little bit of background here, there are three-story buildings in the block, older buildings. Originally, they were residential from back in the 1850s, I think, converted to commercial around 1890s, 1900, at which point they opened up, significant areas of the lower portion of the building. 7-story, 12-story building. We're kind of hemmed in by quite a few larger buildings. That again sort of informed our design somewhat because the desire to have a large storefront area up at the second floor gives us enough of kind of scale, I think, to kind of compete with the other things happening on the block, but also, again, to entice the shoppers up to that second floor level, to get the reading of this two-story space, which is integral to the design, reflected in the facade. You see here, this shows you what originally was there before we did any work. The old storefront with the side entrance, which we have demoed and redesigned with the recessed center entry, which was something that was there historically earlier in the building. There originally was a big awning here. These awnings existed. They've since been taken down because the frames were not very good shape. There was a big awning across the front here. We took that all out, exposing the old cast iron or steel arch.
Were those blue awnings in the top floor installed legally with permits?
I don't know. I don't know how long they've been there. They look like they've been there a while, and that's one of the reasons we took them down. Also, we didn't like, they were the ones that kind of covered over the windows substantially, which is not what we would have emulated you'll see when you do our awning design. The other thing that, with this type of building, and you see this in the district, where these old residential buildings have been converted to residential, there's always this vestige of the 3 windows of the old row house up at the top there, and then all sorts of things happening down below. And, it's something we've inherited and we've been trying to grapple with to make a more cohesive design for the facade. And so we felt that by doing the larger opening here, by narrowing the flanking windows, this starts bringing an alignment here, which, even though it's a subtle thing, it helps start bringing in some connection to second floor and third floor. Also, we felt extension of the blue for the various metal signage and awnings, in addition to being important to the branding of the company, we felt that helped start to tie in the upper and lower portion of the building a little bit more than when you have, various colors happening in different things. This is one block north of us, similar condition, three-story buildings sandwiched in between taller buildings, grappling with some of the same issues. But you'll notice that here, similar condition, a fixed full height opening, flanked by narrower windows with transoms there. And that was one of the things that gave us a boost for this design. The other thing that we had discovered through the one photo we could find historically, which is of the neighboring building, which is essentially a twin, there was a cornice at one point here, and it had been replaced, taken down, and there was left this ugly sort of stucco band here. And what we proposed to do, partly on the recommendation of the community board, which I think was a very good suggestion, to reinstate some version of that, and we did that. We went through a couple of variations of it, and it's a fairly modest cornice, but we felt it helped, again, bring the idea about, essentially, this is a storefront. The storefront isn't just this. The entire 2-story assemblage really is the storefront that defines the operation of the store, defines the identity of the building. The other thing we were proposing here is a banner sign at the second floor level. You see, this is a shot in our banner and flag signs that are happening on the block, and even further down the block, across the street on the Zarros, in the first floor level, or mezzanine level. There are banner signs there also. So we felt one fairly small, modest banner sign was appropriate and was consistent with our we needed to say.
Okay, okay.
It's 8 feet tall? Pardon? That sign is 8 feet tall?
Yes.
Question, Diana?
Yeah, do you have any examples of third floor awnings that are typical of Ladies Mile District?
We do not.
Thank you.
Well, no, those are on the first floor.
Yeah,
She's talking about.
Yeah.
The
No,
third floor, yeah.
We do not.
yeah, okay. Marjorie?
I just have a question. So I'm not sure I'm understanding the design rationale behind the replacement of the existing second floor window.
Well, the existing second floor windows, first of all, are very poor condition.
Okay.
Very, very old wood windows. They don't close properly. The wood is rotting. There's tremendous loss through infiltration from these windows. So they do need to be replaced.
Okay.
It would be, I think it really wouldn't be worthwhile to restore them because I don't think there's enough, sound material there to restore. Given that, we felt if we could gain a little bit more viewing area, basically, that was desirable. And while doing that, I think keep a little bit more consistency between second floor and first floor storefronts.
Okay.
See that as an extension.
Okay, anybody else? Barbara, testimony now, we'll come back. Barbara, Zach. Excuse me, Zach, what am I talking? It's that time of day, sorry.
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. The existing second floor window represents a significant period in the history of the Ladies Mile District when dwellings like this one were converted for commercial use. HDC asks that this large window, a character-defining feature, be restored or replaced in kind to maintain the historic configuration. As seen in historic photographs, the second floor had at one time featured a projecting bay window whose replacement HDC would also support. HDC finds that the stretch banner along the southern edge of the facade obscures too many of the fine architectural details of the neighboring building. Considering that there are plenty of historically appropriate signage styles that can be applied here, HDC asks that other signage be investigated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other testimony? Community Board has sent us a letter that approves the rear approval of the application to relocate metal shutters from the second floor to the third floor on the rear, but they don't address the issue. You said they commented on the front, but we don't have anything writing.
They had approved that back 3 months ago.
Yeah, well, for some reason we don't, but did they ultimately approve the application as far as you can
We
recall?
went to them twice for the
Yeah.
first facade, and the second time they
Okay.
approved what you see.
Anyway, we only have the one letter, but that's useful information. Anything further to add based on what's been said?
I don't know if, fine, first.
Anything else? Okay. Discussion. Fred? Thank you.
Back is fine, the roof is fine from my point of view. I think too much liberty is being taken to kind of create something that was never there in the front. And so there are a whole series of things. Maybe one or two of them would be all right, but together they add up to really changing the building too much, I think. Cutting away that mullion on the second floor may be too much. The awnings on the third floor may be too much. Recreating a whole new storefront may be too much. The stretch sign may be too much. So I just think it needs more attention to repairing what's there with a few liberties to be taken. I think the cornice above the second floor is a good move, but I think there's just too much that's changing.
Michael Devonshire.
I agree with that, particularly with the blue branding of the upper cornice with blue paint. I don't think this is a case where we really want to brand this building. We want to retain the historic building and allow the applicant to have their brand at the storefront. So I would agree with Fred. We need to retain the transom on the second floor window and modify the paint scheme so that it's not so completely
And
branded.
The stretch banner?
Stretch banner, it's not small, it's 8 feet
Yeah.
high, and I think it's a bit too much.
Okay. I am on that line more or less with the other comments. I think that in terms of the back and the top, they're all appropriate and no problem with that. I think Michael's idea about painting the cornice to belong with the building's a great idea, and that for me would allow for the third floor window canopies, which are reversible and very modest, and which are not branded other than via their color. There's no text on them. I would suggest eliminating the banner sign altogether. But for me, the replacement of the second floor window, though it is historic material, it falls into the category for me of storefront stuff, which changes all the time, and which I can see as being appropriate. I would ask that they study the proportions of the vertical piers and perhaps chunky them up a little bit so that they seem a little bit more similar to what was there. But otherwise, I don't have a problem with eliminating that bar and replacing that material.
Marjorie?
I'm sort of more in this last Michael's camp. I actually don't really have a problem with the branding of a building. I think we've discussed that with the Hollister building on Broadway and.
Painted a giant
and-
sign.
Yeah, no, but actually there was a proposal, I think, at one point to paint it all one color, which was actually quite beautiful. I don't know what we did with that, but I thought it was very beautiful. It was gray, I think it was gray. So I don't really have a problem with the idea of branding, but I do like as the compromise that the cornice be the color of the building or an appropriate cornice color for the building, in which case I think it can carry the rest of the proposals, including the banner, which I don't object to.
Okay, I have got a problem with awnings because there's no, no similar kind of thing going on in this district, and I do think it calls attention to itself in the wrong way. I also could have gone along with the color, but I could also go along with the cornice, and then, the rest being, the branded color. And I do think that I'm also okay with the window, the second floor window, because I do feel that we allow a latitude with storefronts, and this Ladies Mile district does have a lot of second floor storefronts, and the continuation of the storefront. So I'm actually kind of okay with that too. Is there anything that is typical of the district? This long banner is not.
No, we have rules for bracket signs, and that's what we encourage. I think we.
So I was going to say a bracket sign would be a suitable replacement for this, that they would be allowed to do without problem.
Okay.
It's very similar, and I left the bracket sign instead of banner, and the color of the cornice trimmed with color that's more in keeping with the building, the area. And I actually don't have a real problem with the blue down below, and I think that because the windows aren't, I imagine, they're not the original windows, and so I don't have a problem with taking out.
Okay. So let's disaggregate, or try to disaggregate it. Cornice is painted. Everyone agrees on that. I think that it should be a bracket sign, not a stretch banner, but,
Yeah.
and on the storefront, however, the second floor window, I mean. I can go,
I can go with almost any of this, I just not
There are other examples in the neighborhood.
yeah. Okay, so are we close then? What's left? The awnings up on?
Yeah, the awnings.
I think once you change the cornice, the awnings are okay. Is that consensus? Okay, Marjorie. Oh, but how many do we have? Who wants to keep the awnings? Michael? Yeah, Okay. No, so it's, so that would be modified once the cornice gets painted.
So
Okay.
we're going to permit awnings, although they're nowhere else in the district.
Well,
If you looked at historic photos, I'll bet you'd find tons of awnings.
okay. All right, so close the hearing. Marjorie, please. Thank
If they are elsewhere in the
Yeah.
district, I could permit them.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to know.
Okay, in the matter of a certificate of appropriateness for 909 Broadway in the Ladies Mile Historic District, land of awnings, by the way. That's right there. Application is to replace windows, paint facade features, install awnings and signage, alter the rear facade, and remove steel fire shutters. I recommend approval, finding that, what? The proposed window replacement at the second floor, it recalls the historic window in terms of operation, configuration, and detail, though it does not duplicate it. That the proposed third floor window awnings refer to awnings that have been found in the district historically. And that the proposed, provided this proposed stretch banner is changed to a blade sign, working with staff on the blade sign, that the cornice as proposed is acceptable, provided it is painted a color that that's appropriate to the building, and the applicant will work with staff on that color. And with regard to the alterations at the rear facade, I recommend approval, finding that the proposed alterations at the rear facade will not be visible from a public thoroughfare, that the third floor metal shutters have been either altered or removed, and the second floor metal shutters, which are in good condition, will be relocated to the third floor, resulting in retention of this feature, that the proposed enlargement of the existing rear skylight will maintain the building's industrial character at the rear, and that the work will not detract from the special character of the Ladies Mile Historic District.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll find those other awnings, too. Okay, thank you.
Really, it is all over the district. You look at all of those